Welcome back to Grizzly Game Day, where it's halftime of that epic Montana-North Dakota State game from 2015, with the Grizz trailing 28-21 at the break. This is Eric Tabor, Communications Director at the University of Montana. Now it's time for the legend of the game, where we do a little reminiscing with a player from that game, and it's brought to you by the M Store in downtown Missoula. This week, we've got one of the captains from that team and a Grizzly legend in his own right in Whitefish native Derek Crittenden. Derek, it's great to see you again. First of all, man, how are you? And thanks for joining us.
Yeah. I've been doing really well. Obviously, times are different. It's been nice because anytime I fly back and forth between Connecticut and back home, I get to fly first class because nobody's flying right now. So I'm still living on the East Coast, and I'm actually heading bow hunting this weekend. So it'll be nice to unplug from the city and just get back to my Montana roots.
So you're back at home. You're back in Whitefish. That's great to hear. So
yes, yeah.
You've been a bit of an international man of mystery since you graduated, though. So you said you're back on the East Coast in Connecticut. What are you doing for work, and how are you holding up in this sort of global pandemic and these weird times that we're in?
Yeah, so living on the East Coast, I went to grad school at Penn, studied biomedical engineering and entrepreneurship, and then graduated 2017, fall 2017. And I took a role in product marketing for Medtronic. So Medtronic has never been in surgical visualization. So, it's a massive company that was starting a new business. So there was a sort of a startup feel to it almost. And it was a really exciting time just because I had just graduated college. I did an internship that was a summer long, working on stapling products, surgical stapling products. And then this role came up in visualization and I jumped on it. So basically I'm somewhat of a liaison between, the surgeons, the OR staff, right? Everything that's happening in the hospital. And then there's all of our regional partners and the different strategies that they're executing and sort of trying to figure out exactly how those things fit together. And the last piece is strategy. So it's kind of putting together a puzzle of, okay, considering these three big buckets, where exactly do we fit, and what kind of features and needs and price points and marketing strategies do we have with our products. So I basically take all of our cameras from concept to launch, and it's been really, really interesting because half of our team is in China. So I go to China basically 2 weeks every quarter, and then the other half of our team is in Germany. And I go to Germany 2 weeks every quarter. So it's been interesting because, there's a lot of cultural differences between China and Germany, and they could not be more different, in fact. So, trying to be the liaison of bridging cultures and product development is forcing me to develop new muscles, to say the least. So it's been good.
International man of mystery, no doubt about it. So, but football. I wanted to touch on this with you. Football wasn't kind of the end of your athletic career. You kind of dipped your toes in the world of bobsled. So, tell me about the world of bobsled a little bit, and just how that came about, and what that was like.
Yeah, so the bobsled thing was so funny because I look at pictures on my phone and be like, oh yeah, I was doing that. And actually one of the drivers said, what are you doing right now? I need you in my sled this year. Our sled's going to be way too light. I need a big body in it. And so there's a huge part of me that wants to go back and compete, right? Like I will always have that in me. I think anybody that's a Grizz at heart will always have that with them for the rest of their lives. So there's a big part of me that wants to go back, but I probably won't. And so, yeah, it all started when I was in New Haven during that internship with Medtronic, working in R&D, and it was a random, Tuesday or Wednesday working out at the gym, and the bobsled coach, I didn't know this at the time, but it was the head bobsled coach, and Alana Myers-Taylor, who got silver in the last Olympic Games. And she looked like an athlete. I just kind of knew she was an athlete. And I saw their water bottles, and I said, are you guys on the bobsled team? And they said, yeah. We do this, and I'm a driver, and I'm the head coach, et cetera, et cetera. So we started talking, and he says, well, it looks like you could push a sled. And I'm like, flashing back to my days of pushing the sled with Coach O and the rest of the strength staff in Washington Grizzly. And I said, yeah, I could probably push a sled. So they invited me to a tryout, and I made the first phase of the tryouts. There's a couple different phases. So I got through the first sort of weed out. It's basically like a combine. You do 5 different events. So there's basically, 5 sprints. There's a shot put toss where you basically do a granny shot put toss to see how far you can throw it for explosion. And then there's a broad jump. And once you get to the next phase, then they teach you how to hit the sled, push the sled. And then they take your times of just individual work of pushing the sled and how much value you bring to the sled. So anyways, I went to tryouts, landed a spot on USA 3 and did a season with USA 3. It was a bummer because that was a year when we were down in funding. So USA 3 didn't travel internationally. It was the North American circuit. So I did that for a year. I was still working at that time. I switched roles into global marketing, and it was a lot. It was almost like studying chemistry and philosophy and math and trying to play college football all over again. Luckily the season wasn't very long, so we got through it, and then I just sort of hung up the ice cleats and said, I can be good at my job, or I can be good at bobsled, or I could be good at them simultaneously, but I can't be phenomenal at one or the other. And I just had to make the decision that I just am kind of going to choose work because it's more sustainable, at least. So I hung up the ice cleats, but then the funny part was Gage Smith, reached out to me and said, hey, I'm going to try out for the team. So I think he's actually still active, training. And I think he was in either USA 3 or 4 last year, but I know that he's a big part of their team. So yeah, there's still some Whitefish blood in the USA bobsled team.
Got to represent Montana in the USA. I love it.
That's right.
Well, let's talk about this game a little bit. I mean, the NDSU game is just one of those classics, right? And you were obviously a big part of it your senior year. What do you remember most about that game? I mean, there was everything. ESPN, Brent Musburger, all those guys, the smoke,
It gives me chills thinking about it.
It was a crazy game. So what do you remember most about that game, and what comes to your mind when you think about it?
Number one, it was the Friday before the game. I saw Kent in the hallway, and there was a rumor going around that the game was going to get canceled, right? And it's like, no, this is my dream to play this game. Kent, there's a rumor that this thing's going to get canceled. Like, is this for real? And he says, no. As far as I know, we're having it. I'm going to fight to have it. And so he gave me the confirmation that it was happening. Then, of course, we get the next morning, we got the pregame jitters, and it's just smoky. It's just ridiculously smoky. And I just remember looking back on film, and like any YouTube video you pull up, you see it. And you can, for a while, it wasn't as bad as like Liberty a couple of years prior, but it's hard to see the other side of the end zone, right? It's hard to see the south scoreboard from the north end zone in some of those shots because they're so smoky. So the smoke was one piece of it. And the number, there's 2 things that really stand out in my mind every time I think of that. Number one was when it was basically the whole D line had gotten to Wentz, and I hit him high and Ty hit him low, and somehow Peavy got his hand or somewhere in his body on him, and it was bringing him down, and then he stood up, and I was upside down on him. And this is a 6'4" or 5", strong 230-pound quarterback. He's not just a little 5'8" fast guy like a lot of the Sac State type quarterbacks that we see. So that was a pretty special moment. I think we hurt him that play. I think we broke his foot or cracked his foot or something. So he was out, and that was one good memory, I guess, sort of selfishly. But I'm never gonna forget the way that I felt that last drive. And this is Brady Gustafson at the helm. I'm on defense, obviously. Like, this is the first time that I'm actually caring about the offense, and then not just like, just hold on to the ball, give us time to catch our breath. And it's Brady's first shot at really, running the offense and running the show. And it was Stitt's first game, and it was just poetry in motion. It was just like the most spectacular thing we had. I remember this. I'm getting chills thinking about it. we had this third and long or fourth and long. I think it was third or fourth down and like 15. And we're in the middle of the field, and Ben Roberts over the middle brings it in, and we keep marching. And then I think the next ball to I think it's to Jamal, right? Was it to Jamal into like the 1 or 2 yard line with like 8 seconds left at this time. And then we go, and there were a few like sort of false starts. Then it was third and goal. They give the ball to Joey up the middle, and he doesn't get in. And then it's just like, it's what you dream about as a kid. You know, it's like that picturesque fourth and goal. You have to get it in. It's a huge game. It's a college game day opener. And I'm just never going to forget. I always talk to Joey about it. I'm never going to forget when Joey broke through the line and was just high stepping into the end zone and just screaming, and the stadium just erupted. And that was it. And we'd won. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Oh, definitely one of the highlights, I think, of any Grizz fan for sure. And that place erupted that night. It was, oh man, it was just, the game had everything, and it has memories for all of us. That's for sure. I remember seeing that photo of you sacking Wentz and sending it to you while you were in Philly at Penn. And I was like, hey, go down to Eagles practice and see what he has to say.
Yeah. Was I upside down?
Yeah, you were like hanging off of him.
Yeah. Yeah, every time I see that photo, it's like, how did I do that? Something went wrong there.
And that's one of the things, like obviously he's a very good quarterback, and he was leading a very good team at the time, but then he went on to being sort of a first-round draft pick and starter for the Eagles and all this stuff. So
right.
When you see him on ESPN and whatever else, you know, like, what are your thoughts just seeing him again? Like, you always think about that sack and the win?
Always. Yeah, of course. So we went to Penn. Me and a buddy went to the Eagles game day opener. So it was his first full game. You know, because that same year he had gone to the Eagles, I'd gone to UPenn, and it was the season opener. We're like, let's go, you know, screw it, let's get tickets and go down to the game. And I just remember seeing him warm up on the field, and it was just so like surreal, because it's like, wait, he's on the field, and the last 3 or 4 times I saw you, I was on the field with you, and now there's like Wentz jerseys, and you know, you're playing in front of 104,000 instead of the 26,000 we had in Wa Grizz. It's just pretty interesting, you know. It's pretty cool. For me, I'm glad that we beat him, you know. But I have a tremendous amount of respect for that guy, and it's awesome to see a guy that's coming from FCS go into the league, get, you know, first round draft pick, and do what he's doing. Just because I feel like a lot of people don't think that our league is that capable, and it's always nice to have the people that prove them wrong. So he's definitely doing that, and it's pretty cool.
That is very cool. All right, Derek. Well, thanks so much for joining us, man. It's been a real pleasure catching up with you, and look forward to seeing you in Missoula again soon.
Looking forward to getting tickets from you, if that's not an NCAA violation.
I'll have to check the books on that one. So this has been the Legend of the Game. If you bleed maroon and silver, you found your happy place at the M Store for all your Grizz apparel, gifts, and more. Drop by the M Store at 124 North Higgins in Missoula, or visit our online store at montanamstore.com. The M Store is all Grizz all the time. We'll be back with the second half of that NDSU game from 2015. We spoiled it for him, Derek. We told him what happens at the end. Stay tuned, though, and this is the Montana Grizzly Radio Network.